Y'all tuned in to episode 35 of the Spot Network's Manifest Mondays. Today we're going to be talking about nepotism. I think with recent events, specifically in the NBA, which we'll get into further later, I think it's a great subject to talk about now. I think nepotism is something that's very prevalent in all aspects of the world in our lives, and we probably overthink it, honestly, most of the time. So we're gonna dive into all things nepotism. If anybody doesn't know what nepotism is, it's essentially favoritism, but we'll define it like specifically for y'all. But yeah, man, let's tap in. Episode 35, Spot Network Manifest Mondays. Let's kick it off.
Let's get it. You want to break it down real quick first, Z? Let's
Yeah,
let's let's start let's start down with the
yeah.
definition of nepotism. You know what I'm saying? I had to know the specific too.
Before I break down the specifics, though, does anybody know what nepotism is? Like, is there anyone who could tap in and let us know? Ain't nothing wrong with black nepotism. Didn't start
Ain't
culture.
nothing wrong with black
That's it.
nepotism.
That's
Come on,
it.
man.
So,
Black nepos. You feel me?
Nepo gang.
Black Nepo. That's
All right.
hilarious.
For whoever doesn't know what nepotism is,
I'm sorry, Z.
you good.
That shit's hilarious.
I know nepos.
Oh man, that's
All
crazy.
right, I'm done. Go
Uh,
ahead.
it
That's it.
Paul tapped in. He said favoritism based on race. Yeah, like it's based on many things. It's not just race alone, but the specific definition of what nepotism is, it's the practice among those with power or influence of favoring relatives, friends, or associates, especially by giving them jobs. So, Kels, that's a perfect example. Like when the next CEO is your daughter instead of your next in line at a company. Like, yeah, something
Yeah.
something along the lines. It's when you have influence or power of any level, and you use, or I guess most would say abuse,
Right.
that leverage and that influence to put people in power who really don't like have the qualifications to be there. It's just really just favor
Or
at the end of the
right,
day.
right.
So yeah, that's that. Y'all are spot on with that. That's exactly what nepotism is. It's essentially favoritism. But I think what brought up this conversation with us specifically is talking about Bronny. Anyone who follows the NBA and basketball news whatsoever knows that LeBron James Jr. was drafted as the 55th pick in the NBA draft, and there's been a lot of, I wouldn't necessarily say backlash, but there's been a lot of conversation around whether this was, like kind of like a power move, whether this was an example of nepotism, whether this was just a disgrace to the NBA and to like talent that like really exists out there. There's been a lot of conversations around what that looks like, but I honestly think, yeah, is it an example of nepotism? Absolutely, but who cares? At the end of the
Right.
day. With that being said, let's go ahead and get into it. What y'all fellas think?
I mean, if I was in that, I'll say if I was in that situation, if I was in that position as LeBron, I would have done the same for my son. So, let's say my son playing the NBA, I'll play soccer. If I play for a big club and I know my son has potential and I believe that he's good enough, I'm
Mm-hmm.
definitely gonna get him to like be part of the team. So I think it's kind of like a hard situation though, right? When we talked about earlier, right? I feel like once you're at a certain position, no matter what you do, if your parents have a certain status, no matter what you do, bro, people are gonna say you got in that position because of your parents.
Yeah.
So no matter what, if Browning could have been the best player in high school, right, or the top, he could have been drafted first. People are gonna be like, oh, the reason why you got drafted is because of LeBron James. So it's kind of like it's really
Yeah.
hard. Like it's really hard for him because no matter what he does, people are always gonna attribute that to your
Yeah.
father. You didn't get in because of him. If your dad wasn't LeBron, you wasn't gonna be able to get in. So it's kind of like I would say not fair, right? Because at the end of the day, they're not focusing on your
Mm-hmm.
talent. They're just based on whatever accomplishment currently that you have it based on what you know. Yes, there is some truth to that, but also we cannot really ignore the work that that person might put in. Maybe they might be qualified, right? Maybe I believe my son is qualified. He went to a prestigious university and then he did accounting and then it was an accounting position at my company and then I hired him. It's not like I'm hiring somebody with no experience, with no knowledge
Yeah.
to in that position. So it's a little different.
Yeah. He was
Yeah.
interesting.
Man, I'm on the same there. And as we were saying this, something really made me think about talent because I heard the term "nepo baby" being thrown around like recently, right? Not- For real, like "nepo baby," and it's kind of crazy because the post I seen it on almost made me mad because it was on Willow Smith.
Mhm.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
And if anybody, I don't know if anybody actually follows Willow Smith, even Jaden Smith, but Willow Smith was the one I seen. She is really, really, really fucking talented.
Yeah.
She is,
Real, like
bro. Yeah.
extremely talented. She plays like four
A lot of instruments,
instruments. You know
yeah.
what I mean? Like her voice is super dope. Her writing game is crazy, super creative, man. She just did a dope Tiny Desk also. You know what I'm saying? Just performance, man. If y'all want to go check it out, but it just made me think like no matter what, they're gonna
Right.
try to
Yeah.
connect her,
To her
you
father.
know, like her opportunities to her
Right.
father because he's Will Smith, right? Like you're gonna get that no matter what.
Right.
You know what I mean? And when I'm thinking about it from the kids' perspective, it's like they didn't choose. Like it's a blessing to
Right.
be,
Right.
in a position from like to be a kid of,
Hmm.
these higher figures that accomplish great things, right? But they didn't choose
Hmm.
that. So like now they're finding their path,
Right.
and they have expectations on them that wouldn't be on a regular kid from the
Yeah.
Right.
gate. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So you got high expectations, and people are kind of like saying no matter what you do, it's because of your dad. You know
Right.
what I mean? So my first point to that is, isn't a dad supposed to put
Yeah.
things in position to make your life easier than
Facts.
his was?
Hmm.
Right.
You know what I mean? My pops told me that's before is he was like that's the one of the realest things to me ever is if he said if your kids had a harder life than you had, then you're not doing the best job as a parent.
Facts.
You
Facts.
know
Facts.
what I mean? So like,
Right.
so like when I think about stuff like that, I'm like, okay, ain't you supposed to be setting up a easier life for your child? And
Yeah.
then from the
Right.
child's perspective, it's like now I'm in that easier life, you know what I mean? And
Right.
I'm just trying to live up to my potential, right?
Right.
So I'm fully on the side of like I'm all the way for this
Right.
in this specific case and just in cases in general,
Right.
especially when we come to black people, man.
Right.
It's like when we break the mold and you get somebody like a Jay-Z or a LeBron or you know what I mean,
Right.
and they having kids,
Right.
they have the leverage at that point to put their kids in a position they would never got to get put in on their own.
Right.
Yeah.
So I'm all the way for it, bro.
Yeah.
Right.
Agreed. Piggybacking off of that, man, I think you said that exactly. You hit the nail on the head. The thing about black people specifically is just like I think oftentimes we come from like the scarcity mindset. So it's just like we feel like because we come from nothing and it's just like we you've got to find that balance, right? We don't want our kids to be privileged, like to be spoiled, but
Right.
you also don't want them to like have to like struggle
Right.
either. Like you like set up for success and stuff like that. So it's just like where do you find that healthy medium, because when you think about like nepotism and stuff like that, it's existed in our culture for years. White people have been doing it for centuries. Like they've
They're
been
still doing it. Yeah.
setting up
Literally.
their kids in generations for forever, and now that it's actually starting to become a thing in the black community and people of color, I think now people are starting to like raise attention about like like these types of things. But I'm like, this is something that's been a part of corporate America and just like life in general for literally centuries,
Right.
kind of thing. I think as black people, we need to start embracing the idea and the notions of setting our future generations up for
Right.
success and not trying to put them through the same things that we went through. Because I think honestly, like they're like, oh well, we're cut from a different cloth, we're built different, and it's just like yeah, like you do want kids to have a little grit to them, right?
Right.
Like and you it's to value a dollar and those types of things, but like at the end of the day, if you have the resources, why would you withhold those things from your own flesh and blood, especially your kids, right?
Right.
We talk about gatekeeping all the time. Why would I be sitting here and gatekeeping from my children, bro? Like
Right.
if I have the opportunity to like put you in this position or to set your life up for the betterment and moving forward and for future generations, for my grandkids, for my kids kids, like in all these future generations, why not do it? And so I think we need to start embracing that mentality a lot more, the mentality of abundance. And so I absolutely agree. I think if I was in LeBron's position and I had the opportunity to put my child, you know, in the NBA, like playing on the same team as me, not just in the NBA, but like playing on the team, why would I not jump at that opportunity? Like who wouldn't want to hoop with their son in like on the biggest stage, right? You know, on the like literally on the biggest stage, who wouldn't want to hoop with your son, you know? And so I think about that, you know, and we talked about this early in our conversation. This is a dub for everyone involved. Every single person, every party that's involved, whether it be the Lakers organization, whether it be LeBron, whether it be Bronny, it doesn't matter. Like everyone's set up for an amazing season. Like where the Lakers organization is going to win from this in a major way because they're going to sell more tickets. They're going to sell more jerseys. Pete brought up a good point earlier. Since Bronny got drafted, Lakers jerseys have been flying off the racks. You know, like Bronny's jerseys have been selling already like crazy. You know, and so I think that's a huge win for the Lakers organization. Everybody's gonna want to be in Crypto.com arena watching the Lakers play, and not just the Lakers play, but watching LeBron and his son play on the same court. Everybody's going to want to see that. That's going to be a spectacle. We've never seen a father-son duo in the league at the same time.
Never seen
like that's never been a thing before. So when you talk about making history, it's already adding to like LeBron's massive legacy at this point. So LeBron wins off of that because it's just furthering his legacy, and it's also a win for Bronny because he gets to live out his dreams. You know, playing as an NBA athlete and not just playing athlete like as an NBA athlete, but playing with his dad, you know, like that's just like that's probably got to be a dream come true, like, you know, like so anyone in their right mind who would say like, oh no, I wouldn't have done that for my son, you got to be crazy. You got to be crazy.
People are just liars.
Just haters at the end of the day, right? You know, just like people are always going to have something to say about you. Like when you're a person of that kind of influence, LeBron is one of the greatest influences of our generation, you know, like, and so, especially in the sports world. So when you talk about somebody of that immense success, regardless of what you do, regardless of how good or bad it is, like people are always going to have something to say. People are always going to point fingers and try to nitpick and do all this. But at the end of the day, realistically, thinking about it logically, any parent in their right mind with the same opportunity would have done the same thing.
Right. Like you said, it's fact, bro. I think people don't like LeBron overall. It's a lot of haters. And the fact that to see him succeed, and not just him, but his son to succeed in the NBA, and I think that's why a lot of people have an issue with it.
Yeah.
Well, why not someone else? Why not him, right? It's not like it's not like the season hasn't started yet, right?
Yeah.
I think the NBA is sometimes based on performance, right? If Bronny was doing terrible, right? Like terrible. If he's still in the Lakers, then that's the reason. But like he still hasn't shown his worth. He still hasn't shown his greatness or like, you know, what he's capable of doing right now. So people to just hate, and I think it's mostly because they hate LeBron James and they don't want to see him succeed. So that's the reason why they are kind of like mad that Bronny is drafted, you know, playing for the Lakers.
Yeah. But to play the other side though, to just be real, if he wasn't LeBron James' son, he would not have been drafted. I mean, if we're being honest, like he would not have been drafted at the 50th.
I mean, there's some truth to that, but we don't really know, right? Because there's some 55th draft picks before in the NBA, right? He wasn't drafted first, though. It's not like if he was the first round draft pick, they would be like, who could say, oh, yeah, that's the reason why.
Yeah.
Bro, he was the 55th pick of the NBA draft. How many... Besides Bronny, how many other 55th picks do you know of? Like, I don't know if anyone.
We was just talking about that. Did you like if I don't think nobody probably on here could name the last 55th pick.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Unless it was like your cousin or something.
Exactly.
Like
you know
what I'm saying? Like
that's what people are saying. They're like, I've never seen so much commotion about a 55th pick. Like we've never seen that. History.
So it's kind of hard for me to say just because of that, right? Because he wasn't the first round pick, or this, you know, like, so it's hard. I mean, having LeBron James after that for sure played a role too. But I'm sure just based because he did. What's the thing? Didn't he do good at the NBA combine, whatever you call it? Did he was like the top 3 prospects whenever he was in there? He did really good, right?
Wasn't one of the top prospects. He did decently at the combine.
Yeah.
But he did great vertical. I thought his vertical, he was like cleared something crazy, but you know what I'm saying?
So,
but I don't know the specifics.
he played pretty well, but he didn't do anything that like would have wowed like any kind of scout, like anyone who like realistically. And this is just me being just honest. Like I think there is better talent out there just at his position. You know, especially as a point guard, like him running the one. I just think there's players with better handles than him, like who are better at just like at passing. You know, like better shooting. I think there's just players who are better all around at his position. But that's not necessarily like to take away anything from him.
Right.
I'm not saying he's not talented. Me personally, I think he probably would have ended up in like the D League or something like that, and then would have moved his way up, you know, to the obviously to starting in the NBA, you know, like. But I don't know if I necessarily think he's ready for the NBA, but at the same time, we never know. Like,
Right.
you know, when the season starts, Bronny could show everyone out and just be like, yeah,
right.
I'll pop out and show y'all. Like,
Yeah.
all right, like I'm like, and really ball out, and everybody be like, well, damn,
Right.
like, all right,
Never know.
you never know.
Like I was saying earlier, like Tom Brady, bro, he wasn't like the best athletic wise. He wasn't the best, and now he turned out to be like the GOAT
Yeah.
when it comes to like football. Like I just seen at the combine, he wasn't that great. People say he was slow, like not athletic, you know, like now look at him, one of the greats. So it's kind of like
Who?
hard to predict. Tom Brady.
Oh, Tom Brady.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like you know.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like hard, like Steph Curry, right? He wasn't like the best physical specimen. He was weak, scrawny, and now look at him, one of the best 3-point shooter, won 4 championship. So it's kind of like hard to kind of like figure out what success you're going to accomplish if you haven't started yet. And for me, just having LeBron James as a dad, bro, that's like you have the best mentor ever.
Yeah.
He's your father, right? So I believe that you can learn from him if you're coachable, and you can be a really good player, like just by having him around to like mentor you, to teach you and help you. And you guys are now on the same team together. So I just personally believe that it's going to accelerate his overall performance, just being a better athlete and a better player going forward.
Yeah.
And naturally, just to add to that point, what we was talking about too is kind of like LeBron is the type that's been locked in
Right.
crazy on basketball since he, you know what I mean? So if they get into the season
Right.
and LeBron's up before everybody at 4 a.m. and Bronny's still asleep, I'm sure he probably waking that ass up like, bro, come on, man. You said you wanted this,
Right.
you know what I'm saying?
LeBron gonna be.
You said you wanted this. So not only is he getting him as a pops in that sense, but he's getting him as a teammate
Right.
and one of the best, you know, arguably one of the best teammates of all time.
Yeah.
Right. You know what I mean? So to have those two in one, man, I think this is one of the dopest historic moments in just professional sports, period, man. And just to kind of connect this thing full circle, a lot of people, if you work at the post office, right, and you had the opportunity, your son is, you know what I'm saying, is wanting to get into a government job or something. If you got the opportunity just to even do something like that, you're probably gonna do it.
Yeah.
Right.
So I just really don't know. It's hard for me to understand why somebody wouldn't look at this play and be like, that's one of the dopest shits ever. You know what I mean?
Right.
It's
right.
because when you talk about power and influence, that's what people want at the end of the day. Like people just want to be that. You know, like who wouldn't want to have the same influence, the same pull that LeBron has, right? You know, like, and that's why I think people just be hating, bro.
I mean, we do it nowadays though. Sometimes I get into the club because you're DJing. Like I don't stay in line.
Facts.
It's the same thing.
Facts.
So
That's Nepo. Yeah, Diamond's a Nepo baby. Diamond's a Nepo baby.
Y'all
I get it. No, for real. Like, I'll be on backstage when Ramond performing. Other people don't have that privilege. Why is it okay for me to do that? Because he's my bro. I know him. So at the end of the day, that's how life works, bro. You're always gonna put your friends, your people in position of power. You're always gonna help them out.
Absolutely.
You know, like I'm not gonna go to Mickey's club and be in the stand, bro. I'm gonna VIP. I'm
Easy.
That's my brother.
For free. You know
for free.
You know what I'm saying?
Something that we talked about too is right, like your network determines your net worth, right? You know, so like the people that you're connected to and that you're affiliated with are going to have like a huge influence on your success. Like I don't care what anybody says. And so like when you talk about favoritism and nepotism, all this stuff, like this exists everywhere. Just like you said, like if I go and like refer, like let's say my job is hiring and I go to the recruiter and I'm like, yo, like my homie needs a job, like he'd actually be a great fit. Like, you know, like they're probably gonna call you first. Like you know, you're it's an internal referral, right? Like you know, like so there's just always going to be favoritism, and there's always going to be nepotism, and it exists at that level. It's just we're seeing it at
Right.
such an level now, which is why I think people are now all up in arms about it and wanting to hate and stuff like that. But I mean, a prime example: Giannis and his brother.
Right.
Giannis's brother has no business being in the NBA playing for the fucking Milwaukee Bucks. He is trash. His brother is ass juice. Ass juice. That's what that man plays like. That is
Hey,
what his brother plays like.
I'll
Is
play devil advocate. I
ass.
don't know, Z. I don't know. He wonder what who win, you or him.
He's ass.
Wonder
Uh,
what Z who win. That's true though, but it's fact, bro. I think we see nepotism in our life, our current day life, all the time, but to that level, right? To that magnitude, we haven't seen it yet, right? Because like I said, bro, let's say if you knew a girl, right? If I was single, if you put in work for me, that's nepotism right there. Because at the end of the day, you put in good work. Other guys have to go through the DMs. For me, on the other hand, you sending it up, bro.
it's my
I'm getting
man's.
I'm getting phone number right
This
away, right?
it's my
Other guys
man's.
having to
Yeah.
go through the DM,
Yeah.
you know. So but we see that every day, but we don't talk about it, right? But
Yeah.
whenever it's at that level, when it comes to a celebrity or someone that we view on the highest status, we think, oh, it's wrong. But
Yeah.
I believe it's not wrong. Once you're not hurt, like, all right, Bronny being drafted as a 55th pick, who's that hurting really? Let's be
Yeah.
honest. I don't see
And
that
see, you see,
hurting no one else. So,
and this the point that I actually wanted to get to on this, right? Because you see this all the time with like, um, the coach's son, right? The coach's son might be the quarterback of the little league football team, right?
right,
Yeah.
And there's two pieces to this thing, right? Like a lot of times the coach's son is actually good too,
right,
because the coach probably does stuff with him outside
Yeah.
of, you know what I mean, just playing on the thing, you know what I'm saying?
right,
Just playing on the team. They probably get home and they still going over plays. And while the coach is looking at, you know what I mean, drafting a place for the team, the son's in the house with him. So there's
right,
like those little
right,
things that he's actually still picking up.
Yeah.
Now, if he is in position, but there's actually somebody better in the
right,
role
right,
that can't get into that position, so they're like kind of gatekeeping the
right,
position. I feel like
right.
that's a little bit different,
Correct.
right? They're
I agree.
gatekeeping the position. They're like, you know, he is the best quarterback we've ever seen, but this
Right,
is my son,
right.
Yeah.
right? Like, so he's going to be starting. I think that's kind of a different conversation, right?
I agree.
So what do y'all feel about stuff like that? Like, does that change things?
Oh yeah, for sure. That definitely changed things, right? Because at the end of the day, you have someone who's way more qualified, and everyone knows that, right? However, just because you're a little biased, it's your son. Now you're holding that position, not allowing that person to come in, and that can actually help the team maybe win more games. So I can see that's to me is negative, right? Because at the end of the day, it's affecting the team and also the people around the team, right? Because the team is dominates the quarterback. I'm the coach's son. If I'm terrible, if Ramond is the best quarterback than me, and we keep losing games, that's not good for the team or everyone around that organization. So for me, I think that's negative, right? Because now you're doing things that is like not progressing the team, is hurting the team.
Mm-hmm.
On the other side, if I'm good and I'm doing great and I'm the coach's son, like why change the system when it's working? So for me, the only problem I'll have with that is when it's not working or when the person that's in position is not as good as the person that's on the bench.
Yeah.
Then I have a problem with it. But when it comes to like Bronny, that whole situation is completely different.
Facts.
Well, let me ask you this: do you think there are better players than him that could have been drafted, like who could have been taken out at the 55th pick?
I don't know. It's hard to tell, right? Because it's kind of like, I feel like at the 55th pick, bro, it's kind of like really hard to like tell who's good or not.
Yeah.
I was
You
about to
feel,
say the same
bro?
thing, bro. I was about to say possibly, right? But
Right.
when you in the 55th category, like if you
Yeah.
were supposed to go before me, you were supposed to go way before
Yeah.
me. Like
Right. To me,
55,
that's
it doesn't seem
close.
like a bunch, but 55 players that went to the combine that go before you.
Yeah.
Right.
I don't know how like maybe they are. Maybe the coaches are like, all right, you know what I mean? When we get down to the 60s, I'm looking at this
Yeah.
person. But a lot
Right.
of times it's kind of like we just looking at who's left.
Right.
We got some things on the pads, you know what I'm saying? We got one of our scouts that been looking at this guy. We think he can do a little bit something, but maybe we'll just trade him. I
Yeah.
don't know how they're really even looking at those
Right.
spots at that point. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Right.
I don't know if they're like this 55th pick is going to change our whole organization
Right.
on any team
Right.
Mhm.
in any year. You know what I mean?
Right.
So, and I actually I wanted to add this into the conversation because I just heard this right before we hopped on here. Fact check me because I don't know, but they said that there was a couple other people that went way earlier that was averaging 4 to 5 points too.
Exactly. But
You know what I mean? And
then,
that's if that's the thing is like Bronny was 4.8 points or something like that. And if there was somebody they said there was a couple people that was averaging about the same thing,
right,
Yeah,
but the coach might have just seen something different in them, right?
right,
yeah,
So
yeah. I agree with y'all. Like at the end of the day, I just like I said, I wanted to pose the question, but I do agree with y'all. Like gatekeeping certain opportunities, especially when when you're talking about the overall betterment of like the team or like your company or something like that. But even then, I still think about it because when we talk about like a lot of companies, like a lot of like Fortune 500 companies and whatnot, oftentimes we've seen it. Kel's brought up the conversation earlier. Is just like, let's say I started this. Let's say I was the CEO of Apple, and
right,
all the other executives, and I've worked for Apple for 20 years, and I'm about to retire, and it's now my responsibility to figure out who's going to like be my successor. There's probably somebody on the exec board who could probably like be very well suited for this opportunity, to replace me. But if like my son, like I felt like was relevant, like he may not like if he had relevant qualities, like like obviously he went to college and like was prestigious and handled his business and could apply it. Maybe I would want to put him in a position where it's just like like shit. At the end, like yeah, is Philip probably like
right,
well for this position? Absolutely,
right,
But at the end of the day, it's my call, So
right,
I'm going to set my son up, and continue this legacy, right? And I think we've seen that time and time again in corporate America.
right,
Like that's why people have gatekeeped and have set their generations up and their families up for years. Like we've seen it time and time again. Prime example. I don't know who pulled the shots or like like who called the shots or who pulled some strings. The fact that JJ Redick is the fucking
I was
head
just gonna say that.
of
Why people
Los
not talking
Angeles
about it? Yeah,
is wild to me.
right,
Like I'm like, what qualifications does
right,
JJ Redick have? The fucking Lakers head coach. He has
exactly,
none. He
right,
literally has none. Besides, he played in the NBA. So
right,
like, I'm just like, that's crazy to me. So like, we see
right,
examples of
right.
nepotism all the time, especially when it's people of the pale skinned. Like we
Mm-hmm.
see it all the fucking time. Like the pale skin get away with this shit all the time, and
True.
so um,
No, that's a good point. Z, why people not tripping about JJ Redick being head coach, bro?
yeah,
Because
there's
I know a lot of coaches way more qualified than him.
absolutely,
No experience. It's like me being hired a freaking like CFO position with no prior
yeah.
experience.
There's way more commotion about Bronny getting drafted than
Right.
Jay being the head coach. There's
Bronny
way more.
Bonnie's more proven as a basketball player than
Right.
JJ Redick is as a coach.
Right.
You know what I mean? To put that in perspective, you know what I mean?
We ain't letting JJ be. Fuck JJ Redick. He should not be the Lakers head coach. We will not
I
let
like
that slide.
to put it like this. I like JJ,
I
but he gotta
do.
get this work. He gotta get this work today, man. It's the facts. It's the
Right.
facts, man. You know what I mean? It's the facts.
Right. People are not talking about it though. People are not making anything. Oh yeah,
Yeah,
he's qualified. Like, why? Like, what have he done? Has he coached anything?
not
Team
qualified.
like in
He is not.
college? Nothing.
He's
So
not
if people can be okay
qualified.
with that,
Besides the
then
fact that he played in the NBA, he is not qualified.
right.
So
Eh,
What and
like like
what would we say? I kind of got a question to follow up this, right? Because it's something I think about is when we think about corporate, right?
right.
And if we see like someone like we said, like that was owning Apple or what I mean, these bigger companies, and they keep putting them their their own into position, right? Like let's say they're putting their,
He
whether
coached
it's,
a
you
youth
know,
team.
he did, he definitely did.
he
But like
did.
let's say like he was putting in his kid in this position, and
Right.
then like his uncles, I mean his friends' son in that position, and just putting all his people in the position, but they actually all happen to be white
Right.
because that was his friend
Yeah.
group,
Right.
right? That was his friend group, that was his family, that was all, you know what I mean? So do we look at that? I have my thoughts on it, but how do we look at the difference on if it's okay if they keep putting people that's in position over qualified people that may be like of a different race, right? Versus how we feel about nepotism, you know, on the black side. I know that would be a question. Is like, how are y'all cool when it's over here and it's not, you know, not cool over
Right.
here? So what's y'all breakdown of that?
I mean, it's not corporate America in general for the most part. It's not like what Kels mentioned that earlier. Kings and empires back in the day,
Yep.
they always like hire like their families and friends, put them in position of power, right? But whenever it's like the black man doing that, it's kind of like a problem. I personally believe like for me as a black man, it's a little bit hard, right? Because at the end of the day, if you're looking for opportunity, if you're applying to a job, and everyone in position that like the owner, cousin, family, even though knowing that they are not qualified. And then I feel like that's more of a gatekeeping, right? Because now and then you have people in position who are not qualified at that position. Now you have people who are way more qualified, but they're not getting that opportunity because maybe they're black or they're a minority. I think that's an issue because at the end of the day, resources been held in one group than the other group. So that's create, racial inequality when it comes to like, from a financial standpoint, just overall from an economical standpoint. So for me, I do have an issue with that. It's completely different because it creates you like gatekeeping way more, right? You're just hiring your friends, your family, and you're not giving people who are actually qualified to to pick on this role. So that's more of a gatekeeping to me.
Mm-hmm.
Two things, yeah.
I don't know. I agree with what Paul said earlier, man. Black nepotism is not a thing, man. We ain't shit
Black Nepo.
at all, baby.
Right,
They've been
Black
doing this.
Nepos.
They've been doing this for literally
right,
centuries. Like, look, I ain't got no problems with it. Um, I think we've obviously seen the results of nepotism and favoritism for generations now, and how it's impacted us as people, like how it's obviously impacted our white counterparts, and like why they
right.
have upper hand and whatnot. And so, um, yeah, like could you say it's a double standard? Yeah, like I mean, but there's double standards all the time.
Right.
Like the fact that the motherfucking Donald Trump is able to run for president after being a convicted felon is wild. So like,
But
how
Right.
about
convicted
you go
felons
ahead and release?
can't vote,
Yeah,
right?
but convicted, yeah, exactly. But a
Right.
convicted, well, but he could run for president
Right.
though. So it's just like it's a double standard. If Obama was a convicted felon, would he be fucking eligible to be a fucking president? No, he never.
Out
Right.
of here, man.
The light of day, So it's just like, um, I'm pro black everything,
And
man.
also,
So like,
yeah, but and to add on to that, the only time I have a problem when it's in the black, let's say for example black people are doing that and the people that they hire are kind of like destroying the company, then I'll have an issue with that, right? Because at the end of the day you have
mhm,
all these, let's say for public schools, right, you have all these teachers that you hire but they are not good teachers, right? Because at the end of the day the education is not as good, it's subpar, then yeah, there is going to be an issue because now I'm maybe bringing people who are way more qualified that can be able to like educate and provide quality education than just having
mhm.
this group of black people just because they're black and they're not providing values and things of that's going to like elevate and create better environment, then I would have an issue with that.
Yeah, of course.
However, if they were thriving and doing great, like keep doing that. Like
Yeah,
I don't have a problem with that. Keep bringing more of your cousin, bring in Ray Ray, add more of them in there.
Yeah.
Like I don't have an
All
issue
the
with
Ray
that because at the end
Rays.
of the day,
You know
yeah,
what I'm saying?
it's
Ray
not
Ray,
hurting no
JJ,
one.
KK, all of them. You know what I'm saying?
LaFar,
All of
Jaquan,
them, man.
everybody. Because at the end
yeah,
of the day, it's not hurting nobody. It's like
yeah,
we're better in
yeah.
the economy, the environment. So I don't have an issue with that when it's
I think that's
positive,
an
for
important
sure.
point because at the end of the day, you want quality people,
Right,
right? You want
right,
over quantity. So like, if I'm putting people in positions of power and of influence, and they aren't doing their job, I will absolutely kick their ass to the curb and be like, this just ain't working out, at the end of the day. And so I think that's when you have that kind of influence and are able to be in a position of power like that. That's the luxury of that, right? Like I think, but
right,
I mean, at the end of the day, isn't that what it's all about? Like, don't we all want to have influence to like over like
right,
what people like what access our people have? Like,
right.
Sure.
don't
Well,
you
we
be able to
right,
provide for your family? Men, we're men, right? Men
right,
as providers, like we want to be able to provide for our family,
right,
right? So like I say all that to say, like, who wouldn't want to have influence and be able to put their people in positions of power? If you could do it, you probably
right,
would. Like let's just,
right,
And so, like, people want to sit here and point fingers and just like say what this person and that person should do and what LeBron should be doing in this
Right.
situation. Like, bro, if you had the same opportunity, you would do the same thing, and it's just like, that's what
Right.
the whole point of it is, right? We're all out here trying to like live our best lives.
Right.
We want to be successful, right? And we want to be able to leave a legacy, for our
Right.
generations. And so you want to be able to set your people up for success. That's the whole point of life, and
Yeah.
so why wouldn't you want to? Like we talked about it earlier, right? What's the point of having leverage if you don't use it?
Right.
Yeah.
That. But we see it in real time, right? Like the royal family. Duh. Like
Yeah.
everyone in this family, like we see
It's
that. No one,
literally,
yeah, no one have an issue with that because apparently they're doing a good job. We see that in Dubai, UAE, right? All family run the entire country.
Mm-hmm.
So if no one's complaining about it, right? So why are you complaining about other things? I think for me, it's like once it's working, the people are not in poverty, and then you guys are not taking all the resource. I really don't have a problem with that because back in the day, that's what kings used to do, empires used to do back in the
Yep.
day. It's always they hire, I'm not hired, but like always they hire their kids after that family forever. You see that in real time. So like it's the same thing nowadays too. So why is there a problem? I noticed that always a problem whenever it's a black person, kind of like
mm-hmm.
quote unquote people suspect them of doing that. There's an issue. I'm sure if LeBron was white, no one would be talking about this, bro. I'm telling you, man. People wouldn't be even, oh yeah, his son. Like we see that all the time. The CEO cousin get hired. No one's talking about it. And people just assume he's qualified. That whenever it's a white person, we automatically
That's a good
assume
point.
they are qualified.
Great
We don't
point.
question them. Oh, is he good enough? Oh, no, we just assume that he's good.
Yeah.
Like, why do we
Yeah.
always agree? Let it slide. We don't question the validity of that when it comes to a black person. We all want to see his credential. Oh, let's see how many points did he have in college? Like, why are you questioning everything? It's always like that, man. It's crazy.
That was a bar.
Great fucking point,
That was a
DG.
Yeah, for real, bro.
We don't even question if they're qualified or not.
We don't.
If especially like like the white race for real,
We
like we
don't.
don't even
We just
question
assume
if they're supposed to
they're
be in that
good.
position. We just assume,
Like
hey
JJ
man,
Redick, how many people like going back to that? How many people question that he's not good, right? He never had a coaching position before. No one did, bro.
Yeah.
I'm sure if he was black, people were like, bro, what is Draymond Green or who else? Like, why is he the coach? He's never been to coaching or seminar or whatever. Like, his white people just assume that he was just born with the knowledge to be a coach.
Yep.
that's a fact, man. I wanted to just add something to the conversation on the side of the double standard part of it, right? The piece that kind of for me leans. Like I said, I'm always gonna be pro black, but that leans me even more on that. You know what I mean? Is a lot of these systems and billion-dollar companies were built in times where we didn't even have the opportunity, like from wealth, from times we didn't even have the opportunity to be building anything,
Mm-hmm.
right? So to be building these, these super wealthy companies and keep passing that down to your family while we didn't even have a chance to get into the game, you know what I mean? And then continuing to do it. And not only that, it's like if you're coming from that mindset of, like slavery mindset or just whatever their mindset was, it's not only like I want to put my people in position, it's I don't want your people in position either.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? I don't want y'all in this position. Y'all can't be the CEO of this of what I built. Y'all just can't. You know what I'm saying? And
Mm-hmm.
which is I think is a completely different thing. It's just like it's like you said, like truly gatekeeping and further that gatekeeping off race. Like I don't care who it is, but it's you, not y'all though. You
Yeah.
know what I'm saying? So I think that's another piece of it too. Is like what we're talking about is putting our own people in position, and if there's somebody else qualified, there might be another position to get you locked in. But then there's a whole other thing of like I don't care what you do,
Yeah.
you can't work here like that. That's like I'm on slavery shit. Like that's no colors allowed type shit. Like you know what I'm saying? Like so I think that's the big difference for me when I think about the double standard of that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. I think to that point, if you're gatekeeping and favoriting certain people just based off of anything like immoral, like race and stuff like that, like you could be the most qualified qualified white person ever, and I'm just like, I'm not gonna hire you because you white, that's where I do have a problem with
Right.
it. It's, like you're going out of your way to gatekeep opportunities, and especially when it's people who are qualified, and could use the position and whatnot, and especially if you have somebody who just isn't qualified and isn't doing a good job. That's one thing, I think too, but I do agree with you. Like if it's jeopardizing like my morals, as a person and my values, like that's something that I'm against. Like I'm all right, we're keeping this opportunity out away from this particular person or this group of people because solely of their like skin color. Like that's where I do have a problem with it. Like I don't necessarily have a problem with you setting your people up for success because that's something that we all want to do, right? But to just be like, just like holding
Right.
information, positions, just power away from a particular group of people. That's where I do it.
Right. No, it's true. Yeah, I agree. I think once you are just holding power from people who are qualified because of their race and color, that's a whole different issue. And wasn't it like a study done when there are like certain black applicants and a white applicant, they'll both apply to the same job. However, they'll have the same pretty much educational background, similar experience. However, most often they will pick the white person based on their name because at the end of the day they
Yep.
discriminate based on your name, right? So Taquan Smith, they just automatically
Yep.
assume that you're a black person. So even though me and Carson Washington went to the same school, we have pretty much similar background and everything. However, they're more likely to pick Carson over Taquan because of the name.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, I think that's an issue, right? Because at the end of the day, you're not being fair. You're just judging based on color, and which I do have an issue with that. It's kind of sad, right? Because in the day now you live in this person out who might even be better than the other person, but you're just solely doing that because of like race and color,
Mm-hmm.
and that's morally
Yeah.
wrong, I believe.
It's to
So at the end of the day,
we assume that white people are qualified, and we assume that people of color are underqualified.
yeah,
It's that exact same point. It's just it is unfortunate, but like I said, we've seen nepotism and favoritism like for generations, especially in corporate America.
right,
Corporate is a prime example of it. So
right.
like I said, people are just like really up in arms about it because people of color, specifically black people, are able to leverage our influence and power now.
And we don't even have that much leverage to think about it, bro. It's not even comparable because it's like they're like 80%, we're like 10. So
Yeah,
we need to catch up. It's not even our close to be
it's not
complaining
even
about one
a
person
close.
because
Yeah, it's not even
the
a
margin is
close.
far
Like,
off.
yeah,
It's not. We need more nepotism. We need more of that. I need to hire more of my
Black
family.
nepotism, baby. Black nepotism.
black nepos. You know what I'm saying? But to add to that piece even a little bit more, one thing that I hear sometimes is like you hear like when like a, a manager or a CEO or something might be seeing somebody young in their company and they might be like, "You remind me of a young me." Right? I remember
Right,
having this conversation with like one of my white managers when I was working at a company one time. He was like, saying that this, how dudes remind him of the young you, and then we was just having an open conversation. I was just like, wouldn't it be hard for you to see a young you in a different race? You know what I mean? So when we
man.
start talking about this, it's like they're in positions based off, history, right? So, like we said, if we look at management, management is almost all, like, especially in corporate companies, almost all white, right?
Right,
So if they're even the hiring managers even are even looking at people like that reminds me of young, I could see, you know what I mean? I could see him rising up. They're not
right,
gonna look at a black person and say like, you remind me of a young me. You know what I mean?
right, right,
So it is dope that we're starting to see black people get into positions where they could say like, you remind me of a young me.
right.
You know what I mean? Because you're not gonna get that from based on the system that's already built. You feel me?
Yeah.
I mean, that's a good question. I'm trying to think though. Can you, yeah, what's the question? Can you look at someone from another race and see if they remind you of the young you? Damn. I want to say yes, but it's kind of hard.
It's tough, right? Have you ever seen a young Asian diamond? You know what I'm saying? Like,
Hey, you remind me of young me, man.
you know what I'm
No,
saying?
no, yeah, yeah. That's
You
what I'm trying
feel
to think
me?
because I think you can find it, right? But it's kind of like hard to connect because like the young me needs to like have like similar experience of like upbringing as me, at least understand a little bit. It can be all privileged, then I'd be like, that's a young,
You
yeah,
see what I'm saying?
little, yeah, yeah. It's true though. 'Cause at the end of the day, that's a good point, right? Because at the end of the day, now if you have like a white person, his manager would say that to him, that he's more likely to like ground hard because he believe in me, right? Now
Yeah.
as a black person, you don't have that reference. You don't have someone to look up to.
Yeah.
So there will be. This is my next question for you guys. Then, do you think it's easier for you to like work harder if your manager or your boss was black or white? What do you think? What do you guys think? Incorporate
Uh,
like whatever. Yeah. What's your
man,
thoughts on that?
it's to me, yeah. Kels kind of said where I was gonna go with this is it's easier if your manager is a person of color. I feel sometimes I just feel a natural connection more, right?
Right.
I feel like we're all different in the sense of like we're just kind of hard workers in a
Right.
sense, right? Like we're just going to work, like you know what I mean?
Right.
Like I kind of put it in my mind like if you add me to any team, I'm gonna add
Right.
value. You know what I mean? If I don't like the team enough, then I don't need to be there anyway. But if I'm on the team, I'm adding value.
Hmm.
But do you
You
think
know what
the
I'm saying?
value
So
would be more if your manager was like a person of color?
I think I would feel more valued
Right.
is my
Okay.
point. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? So I'm
So
gonna add
the
value
outcome
wherever
still
I'm
be the
at.
same.
But
Right.
if it was a black team, I feel like they would value my contribution a lot more and not even think about certain things of like, I honestly think some people feel like they have to prove themselves differently
Right.
to maybe a white manager than they
Right. That's
do from
right.
they have
Right.
to prove themselves in a different way. You know what I mean? And they
Right.
kind of have to
Right.
speak a little bit differently. I love, even where I'm at, working like in a management position. I love like, when I talk to some of the black people on the team, you know what I'm saying? Like they loosen up a
Right.
little bit and they finally get to be them regular selves when we chop it up. You know
Right.
what I mean? Like they get to finally
You gotta
be
be like,
that
I'm
because we always talk
qualified.
about
Yeah.
code switching. When you're black, you got to put on that a mask even just
Right.
to have a regular
Right.
conversation. Hey, how's it going?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll look at that when I get it. You know what I mean? You almost have to put on that mask. So to even be able to take that off, like I said, if us three are working in a company, I will
Right.
feel more
Right.
comfortable at the meetings that we have, even if we're getting some high level shit done. We can chop it up, shoot the shit. I could talk like my regular self without
Yeah.
having to fully bend at all. You know what I mean?
Right.
So
I
I would just
agree.
feel more valued. So I probably would work harder
Right.
with black people.
Right.
Absolutely. I agree. Like I think that's why representation is so real. Like, like I just feel like when you see someone on the other side of things who looks like you, it's just like you already immediately feel a level of comfort from it. And so like
Right.
establishing that connection early on is just like, yeah, I want to like show up and I want to like, to your point, we're hard workers, right? And we want to show up, but like we also want to like put on for like the culture, and all of us like we do good work, so it's just
Right.
like that, being able to share that with like a person, like your mentor or like your manager, whatever the case may be. I think there's just like like I think about it too, like from like if I'm going to a therapist, I don't want to go to. I'm not gonna lie. I don't want to go to a white therapist. I'm not gonna lie. Like I'd much rather go to like a person of color. Like I mean, and that's
Right.
just being
Right.
real. Like like just
Right.
you know, I'd rather go see Barquan than go see Brad. Like if I'm real, like,
Shout
like
out to Barquan, man.
Barquan one time. So I just think there's
Right.
a level of comfort and just like I said, you kind of establish that connection like immediately.
Right.
You know, I think you're able to show up and be your authentic self, which I think when you can be your authentic self, you like do better work
Right.
too. Like
Right.
yeah,
That's a
Yeah.
fact.
Yeah. Kale's made a good point. I can have a bad day without being perceived as a hood guy or angry black man.
mm-hmm.
Fact. At the end of the
Facts.
day,
And
yeah.
even his other point, he said at a bare minimum, I don't have the same mental bandwidth being used towards the mental slack of a stack of code switching. So at the bare minimum, you don't have to
Right.
like do that code switching thing. I remember I was working with uh a Mexican dude at one of the jobs I was working at, right? And he told me something dope, man. That we was talking because he speaks two languages, right? He speaks Spanish and he speaks
Right.
English, right? So we was chopping it up, and I was just like, he told me something that I'll never forget. He said, "I think better in Spanish."
Wow.
because it's his first language.
Yeah.
So he processes that faster. He doesn't
Mm.
have to like have the second process move to English and then respond. He says, I think better in Spanish, right?
Yeah.
And I think what we're talking about here is what applies to us. It's like we think
Right.
better in our regular. I would think better if I don't have to like
Be someone else, trying to
act a
put on the
certain,
mask.
act a certain,
Right.
put the mask on first. I
Right.
could just speak freely, like
Right.
you know what I mean?
Yeah,
Yeah.
but it's
So
true because I've noticed that, right? There are certain things that you like, you don't want to talk about it. Even when we have these corporate events, there are certain things that I like music. I don't want to talk about what I
yeah.
like, right? Because I don't want to be. I don't
I
talk
want to be
about
like, did y'all see
Young
the pop out
Thug.
concert? Did y'all see the pop out shit with Kendrick? Hey, when he brought Dre out, nigga,
They
that
got
shit
like
was
that.
crazy.
Yeah.
You know
There's
what I
certain
mean?
things I want to talk about, but I don't feel comfortable because I think they might judge me, right? I think, oh, I went to a rap concert.
Like,
It's a
oh,
fact.
you went to one of those comedy.
Right.
Oh,
So it's kind of like hard, like you said, it's hard because I feel like all the time I'm trying to like fit in, even though when I'm doing certain things, I'm not really open, right? Because I don't want to talk about, oh yeah, I was at a rap concert, see Young Thug in concert. Man, you heard that one song, Young Thug? I love that. It's a little bit harder, right? Because
I haven't
they'll
heard that one,
perceive
Diamond. You know, you know
who's Young Thug?
send me your
Young
playlist.
Thug.
You know what I mean?
just a little snippet for us. Like we'd love to hear it.
Right.
Um,
So, but
yeah.
do you guys see that see it from other perspective, right? Like how other black people might feel like, you know what, if I have a white boss, I'll work a lot harder, right? Because sometimes, like, with slavery and all that, black people, we sometimes perceive like a white person maybe to know it all, right? Like I
Yeah.
talked about before, we don't question their
If
credentials.
they're
However, something
qualified or
happened. Let's
not.
say if
Yeah.
I was a manager, right? Because I'm young, if I'm how like other black people that maybe that look up to me, maybe they might try to like might want to like undermine my experience, like my knowledge. They might think I don't know it all, right? Because I'm a young black man. However, so maybe they might not work hard, right? Compared to if I was white and in that leadership position too. So
I see
it's
what you're saying.
yeah,
Even to the point of like just how some black people feel about other black people. And to be honest,
right,
right? Like,
Yeah.
why should he be telling me what to
right.
do?
It's
No, I ain't got to do that shit. I ain't got to do
right,
that shit. Like, you know what I'm saying? Versus like, almost some people work better with the disconnection.
correct,
You
right,
know what I mean? Like
right,
it's just they're just the boss, the manager, and this shit. They just you know what I mean. There is no connect. I don't see myself in you. I see yourself. I
right,
see you as the CEO of this thing. I might just some people work better with that disconnection, right?
right,
Mm-hmm.
Versus somebody that I can almost seeing myself like, why are you in this position, bro? You shouldn't even be.
right.
I'm way more qualified. You know what I'm
Exactly.
saying? Like that's an interesting point,
That's kind
bro.
of what I was looking at
Honestly, no,
perspective. Because
I
now that
definitely think that does happen though. That does
right.
happen.
Absolutely.
And then
Yeah,
like
that's a
whenever you
heavy
tell them to
point.
do something, they want to like question you. They want to like, oh, do you know? Because my one of my homeboys was saying the same thing because he worked in corporate. I think he does like compliance training or whatever. There's this young black guy that he's like the manager, but he been telling me, bro, he always question him whenever he's telling him anything. He always questioning him. And before the lead, who was white, he never questioned that person. He would do whatever they say. But now since he's a black young person in a position like a power when it comes to that in corporate, so whatever he says is being questioned. Like,
Yeah.
why am I doing this?
Yeah.
Like, do you know this?
I think
So
your homie needs to have a conversation with that. Like that sometimes you just gotta pull that person to the side, like, look, man, like what's the problem? Like you clearly seem to have a problem with me. Like you every time I bring up a point you always wanna like, like give me a lot of like
right,
shit about it. Like
right,
I think it's important to like nip shit like that but early. Like,
right,
because otherwise you just continue to do it. And like, like honestly, like it's oftentimes people projecting their own insecurities and like whatnot. But at the end of the day, I think that's something that your homie needs to address that ASAP.
right. But yeah, I think that's more common too, bro. If you think about it, I would say so, right? Because we don't see it often, but I think it's common. Because at the end of the day, it's like, why is Ramond telling me what to do?
Mhm.
And to be
Because he's
to
black. Why
go
is he
even a
telling me what
step
to do?
further, I almost think that every race questions the validity of a black person in power.
Right.
Right? Right? It
It's
might
true.
be an older white lady that questions like, should Diamond be telling me? Like, is this right? Like,
Right.
you know what I mean? Like just
Yeah.
question with no real reason to question it besides who
Right.
you are. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
It's
Facts.
it's like we
Yeah.
always try to like prove
Yeah.
ourselves. We always try to like make sure we're right. We're saying the right thing.
Yeah.
You know.
Yep.
Yeah. I guess I'm a nepo right now, right? Because like the business, all we hire is like family and people that we know, right? Because for the business, all we hire right now, like friends, family, people that I trust and care about. Because at the end of the day, I want to like keep it within. Like at the end of the day, if I'm winning, I want to make sure my entire circle is winning first
Yeah,
before I include people from the outside.
absolutely.
Yeah, I'm not really discriminating against anyone else. I just want to make sure my people are like the first taken care of first.
Yeah,
Fact,
but I mean,
fact.
nepotism is natural, right? Like
Right,
you
It's
feel like
natural.
you're a part, when you feel like you're part of a community, you want to
right,
want to help your community, and that community is typically your family first and foremost,
right,
right? Like people that are like closest to you, it's your family. That community is probably going to extend to friends and stuff like that, and then whoever else like falls within that community, like you want to put on for your community, especially
right,
power. That's why it's just like when we have conversations like this, like, and people just be on the other side so much. I'm just like literally, like just the same point that we asked earlier. Like, what's the point of having leverage if you
right,
don't use it? Like,
right,
I have the mentality that like if I win, all of us win.
right,
Like, what would I look like? Kevin Hart said it best, like, what would I look like being the only rich friend? Like, what would I look like being like rich and like all my other friends is broke, and I just got to go on all these extra like elegant ass vacations and whatnot by myself? Like, nah, like I want to be able to go with my homies and like my family and stuff like
right,
that, because at the end of the day, like doing shit by yourself is whack. Like that's not what life is about. Like it's about we talk about a strong sense of community and shit like that, and so like nepotism and favoritism is going to be natural.
right. It's
Like
natural. It is.
like
Yeah.
why would I give a stranger a job, or like what I think about it, right? Like Usher. I think about Usher. Usher's mom has been his manager since he was a teenager.
Right.
Like right? Was she probably qualified to manage a superstar fucking singer? No. But at the end of the day, she has his best interest in mind. So it's just like I
Right.
know my mom's gonna look out for me, like and negotiate the most for me
Right.
in any given situation. So like, of course, I'm gonna put my mom in that position, because I know she's gonna do right by me at the end of the day, kind of thing. Why would I put a stranger? It's just like, man, I don't know you. Like, we don't have any ties. Like, yeah, you
Right.
might be qualified, but I also like, like in positions of power too. Like, you never know, somebody might fuck you over too. Like,
Right.
and it's just like, I think nepotism and favoritism has a big piece to do with trust too. And it's like, I
Right.
trust
Right.
I trust you,
Right.
like, so like
Right.
I know what you're capable of. And even though you may not be qualified, like you may not meet all the qualifications for this job, I know and I trust who you are and what you're capable of.
Right.
And I know that you'll put forth your best effort to make it work at the end of the day. And so I
Right.
think a big piece of it was just like, I trust my people more than anyone else.
Right.
Like, like I did. So like, that's why I think nepotism and favoritism is just going to be natural,
Right.
because it's all about
I
trust.
mean, it is natural. I just want to go to the comments real quick. What did Kel say? He's like, I use AI to translate my thoughts, idea. My environment is predominantly white and predominantly female, so I'm extra aware of how I come of incorporate. Imagine the efficiency that could be. It's true though.
Yeah.
Facts.
Yeah.
If he didn't have to be that extra cautious, extra aware on how he came off, be a lot more
Mm-hmm.
efficient, bro.
Mm-hmm.
That's a fact.
Mm-hmm.
That's a fact. Naturally.
Cause just
Man, it's
just
one
think
piece
of
I just want to throw into the conversation real quick
yeah.
is and y'all, I kind of want
Hold on,
one
I'll
from
be
y'all
back.
in here too. Just like what piece of advice could you give to a nepo baby? Like, we don't talk about this often, right? Like,
Yeah.
what kind of advice could you give to somebody who probably did get an opportunity based solely off who they are,
Mm-hmm.
right? What would you say to them? Because they probably never have the conversation like that. People just kind of yell and scream at them like, you shouldn't even be in this position. What's a piece of advice that y'all would give to somebody that might have got a position or opportunity based solely off who they are?
Oh, I'll go first. Don't give people a reason to talk to you ever, because at that point, it's like the same conversation you have to have with every black person, right? You got to go above and beyond, because you got to rule out any doubt in someone's mind, right? So like the to a nepo baby is just like, for instance, like Bronny. At the end of the day, everyone and their mom is clearly going to say that he got that position because of his father, you know? So like, it's now on you to like go out and prove to everyone who you are and rule out any doubt. Like anyone who ever like, you know, like could hate on you or like throw any particular shade your way, at the end of the day, you just rule that out by like showing up and showing out every time. You know, like I think just going above and beyond and providing quality work, you know, just being the example, you know, each and every time. I think at the end of the day, like people are always gonna have something to say about you, good or bad. But as long as you show up and do your job and you knock that shit out the motherfucking park every time, they can say all they want, but it's just like, bro, like I'm shutting this shit down though, regardless. Like, you know, so
Right.
I just showing up and like ruling any doubt out of anyone's mind.
Right. I would say just
That's
F the noise. F the noise. Put your head down, work, learn, just be more efficient. Take your time and just be more resourceful. Like Kel said earlier,
Hmm.
learn to mop the floor and not just the Excel spreadsheet, right? Be of value.
Yeah.
Listen, take criticism sometimes. Criticism are not always bad, right? And then sometimes they can like make you better. Have a tough skin sometimes, yeah, because at the end of the day, not everyone telling you that, oh, giving you feedback, they hating on you, right? Because sometimes we take when people giving us like feedback, it's kind of like critique what we're doing, or they're a hater. Sometimes no, they're just making. Maybe sometimes people are saying things I'm not good at. They're just giving me pointers to me to like work on those things. To like learn from criticism, take them. Don't get too upset when people say things, and just work hard and learn, evolve, and do your thing. F
Hmm.
the noise for the most part.
I like that. I like that.
Yeah,
Like after noise. And shout out
yeah.
to Kels. He said, just
Yeah.
be curious, even if you think you know the answer already. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And to add one, I forgot to add one. Always be a student, right? Because I think once you have a student mindset,
Yep.
you're always learning. Because I feel like whenever we feel like we reach the pinnacle in life, we know it all. That's when we self-destruct because then our ego get in the way. Now you can't tell me anything. I'm the best. Like, why am I listening to you?
Yeah.
But they like just be listening. Even like sometimes it's crazy, right? Just a little off topic. Sometimes people I'll be working out and people will be giving me, oh, bro, you're doing it wrong. And then when I click on their profile, like in my head, I'm like, bro, I look way better than you. Like, technically, but and then like you, why you? But and then I'm trying to like be humble. Like, you know what? Let me listen to what you're saying. Maybe I can like learn from that, right? So yeah, listen sometimes and just from even like people who telling you stuff. Maybe you might not agree to that what they're saying to you, but listen
Yeah.
for sure.
Yep.
And
Yeah.
I think another piece to add would be to kind of like understand that there's a difference between just straight hate on what you're doing and
Right.
like real constructive criticism.
Mhm.
Kind of
Right.
be able to separate the two and be like, you know what I mean? There is probably ways that I can get better.
Mhm.
You know what I
Right.
mean? What am I not
Always.
doing? You
Yeah.
know what I mean? There is ways that I could get better in this area. You know what I mean? And I think more than anything is really just accept it. Because I think
Right.
like it's tough to a lot of people might even go to the full opposite side and try to resist
Right.
the opportunity
Right.
just because they're in the opportunity. You know, like they don't want what that comes with. Like, no, I didn't want
Right.
to get that because my pops put me in position, or I didn't want to get
Right.
that just because I know Diamond.
Mhm.
No, I got to do
Right.
my own thing. That's cool. That's respectable. But why work? Why put all that extra energy to get into the same position that you want to get in, if you
Right.
actually want to get in that position, when the position's already there, you can put that extra energy in being great at it.
Yeah.
Right. It's fact.
Yeah.
The position's already there. Just
That's true.
prove that you know deserve that
Right.
slot now. You know what I mean? So
Right.
instead of just resisting, I say just accept what it is. Like it
Right.
is what it is. First off, this is the case, right?
Right.
But some people just have certain things easier than somebody.
Right.
Go that
That's
extra
true.
mile and prove that you deserve to be in that spot, man.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and,
You
and
know?
to Kel said, DG ain't taking no advice from nobody who isn't sports, man. I mean, I do take advice a little bit, but at the end of the day, it's questionable, right? Like, how you telling me my form is terrible when you don't even have a form? You don't even go to the
Yeah.
gym. Like, what form are you talking about? Like, what form are you talking about?
Yeah.
You can't
Slow
teach
down
me
there, big fella.
financial, right? You can't teach me financial literacy, like how to like get good credit. If your credit score is 300, like, come on, bro, don't tell me
Yeah.
like, oh, I'm spending my money. Like, if your credit was good, then I'll look up to you, right? All right, he has good credit.
Yeah.
Like, he has good credit, right? He's telling me this thing. But like, bro, you don't work out, you don't run, you don't do anything.
Yeah,
Like
you
you
can
telling
tell
me
me
like
what
my
not to
form is
do.
bad.
You know what I mean? What do you eat for lunch, bro? Because I don't want it. You know what I'm saying? You know.
That's why I hate, bro, when people like talking about LeBron James game. Bro, you don't have a game. Shut up. It's LeBron. You
Yeah.
telling him like he could have dunked that. Bro, you don't play basketball. Like
LeBron
shut up.
would bust your ass. What are we
Bust
talking about?
your ass, bro.
Like it's
Bust
just
your
I don't
ass.
know,
That's
man.
crazy.
People, because for me, bro, if I'm giving someone advice or telling them to do something, I make sure that it's something at least I'm good at or have
Yeah,
some knowledge about.
yeah.
I'm not gonna give someone advice when I've never done it before, bro. Like, no,
We're just in a
cool. I
weird
appreciate the
culture
feedback.
nowadays.
Yeah,
We're just in a weird culture where anybody can have an opinion on anything.
yeah.
You could
It's
just
like me trying to teach
have
someone how to
you can
dunk.
have a loud opinion about anything and just post it on anywhere and just say it. And it's like, bro, you have no qualifications to have any
Yeah,
opinion on this
you
shit
never
at
done
all.
this. Like, why are you
At
telling
all,
me?
bro. What are you talking about?
Yeah,
You
it's
know
like
what I
me
mean?
telling y'all how to DJ Z. No, bro, that was terrible mix, bro. No, you don't mix it like that. I never DJ before. I don't even have no idea how the instruments are called. Like, how am I? What am I giving advice on someone? Like, sometimes you just get on my nerve. But however, I do listen. Though. I listen. I'm like, okay, I go. I'll listen. Let me
Yeah,
see what they're saying. I don't go off
Yeah.
on them. But in my mind, I want to go off.
yeah,
And then and then that's constructive criticism too, right? Like there's somebody that's just gonna
Right,
be like, if you be cut the DJ mixes a little bit better, a little bit tighter, like bro, you know what I'm saying? Shut the fuck
right,
up, man.
right.
You know what I mean? But there's somebody that might not know, and they just be like, I don't know, something's just off, man. Something ain't lining up. And you look
Right,
back in it and you be like, oh,
right,
man, the key was off. You
right.
heard something that, what I mean? It's just like, I don't, it's being able to separate what's real constructive criticism versus somebody that just want to say
Yeah,
some shit. You know what I mean?
yeah.
Yeah,
'Cause like I said, now
man.
with the internet, man, it's just easier to just go online and just talk shit to people, right?
yeah.
And give advice, bro. I don't need your advice. I'm good. I mean,
People
That's a fact.
like low key just be wanting to insert themselves into like anything and everything. Like it's just like, bro, like you have no business being here. Like it's
right,
why do you feel the need to just insert yourself? Like
right.
I don't know.
I heard T.I. say something that I fucked with one time. He said, you don't have to have an opinion on everything.
It's
Sometimes
true.
you can just say, I don't have an opinion. I don't know enough to have an opinion on that.
Fact.
Yeah,
That could be your opinion. You don't have to have an opinion. You could
Right,
just be like, I really don't know. I don't know enough to take a side on that. You know what I mean?
right.
So
It's hard for people to do that because at the end of the day, at the end of the day, once you admit that, it's like a deficiency, right? Oh, I don't know. People hate not knowing things, so they always want to
right.
give an opinion. Because if you ask me about DJ style, like, bro, I don't have no idea because he's dumb, right? People are afraid to like admit that. It's not about being dumb. You just don't know. There's certain things that we didn't know. But like when it comes to financial literacy, bro, like certain points in my life, I have no idea how this shit works. Like I wasn't dumb. I just didn't have the knowledge to
Yeah.
empower myself to learn those things. Now I do. I'm sure there are certain things that I don't know. I have no idea about, right? Until I learn about it. So if someone asks me about it, I'm not going to give my opinion. I'm like, I don't know. I never
Facts.
been married before. I'm not going to give you a marriage. I'm not going to give you marriage advice. I've never been
I
married
can't
before.
say.
There's no ring
I
on the
don't know what that's
finger.
like. Yeah. I don't know what that's like, man.
Like I
yeah.
don't
There's
know
a
what it's
marriage
like getting
counselor that knows.
married. Yeah. So, but
That boy said
for
I got
me.
less rings than any player in the league.
Last time I checked, I don't know, just being transparent, bro. Just sticking your niche. Talk about things that you have at least a basic understanding about,
Yep.
at least, and then yeah,
Just
that's
stay,
my takeaway.
just stay,
Stay in your lane.
stay in your lane.
If you don't know
Master your
about it,
lane
ask.
too, man.
That I feel like that's the closest remark. Stay in your lane.
And master that lane too.
Master
For
that
sure,
lane.
I think this is a good spot for us, man. Y'all got any closing remarks on this one, man?
I'm For me, my closing remark, what I've learned so overall with this entire LeBron situation, once you reach a certain position in life, financially, status, you're gonna have a lot of haters. Sometimes people just hate on you because you're good, right? People don't want to see you win. They don't want to see your family win. They don't want to see anyone around you or affiliated with you win. So people just hate on you for no reason, and they just hate, bro. So one thing I learned when success comes with hate, so you just have to have a thick skin and learn to just go. about your business, not worry about what people are gonna say. Because the more you try to elevate in life, there always gonna be haters.
Yep.
People are gonna complain. Oh, you're trying to show off. Oh, you're trying to do this. Finding that once once you know what's in your heart, your intentions are good. You're not hurting nobody. Live your life, man. Don't worry about other people. Let them stay in their lane. That's my
Yep.
remark.
I think to echo that, he pretty much hit the nail on the head. The more you elevate, the more opinions there are going to be. There's always like it's just as it's success and hate. They go hand in hand. Like at the
Right,
end, there's always going to be someone who's got something to say and just will try and tear you down because they simply just want what you want. Like
right,
they don't want to see you there. They like they would rather be there themselves. And it's just like
right,
um that's just even Jesus had haters, right? And
right,
he's supposed to be the purest of us all, right?
right,
Like, even he had haters. So I mean,
right,
can't be on any level of success or like of any kind of great influence or power without hate.
right,
Opinions are always going to come in the abundance, especially when you get like someone like LeBron
right,
status. When you're on that kind of scale, when you're in front of that many eyes, it's just a part of life at that point.
right,
And it's just
right.
whether you like it or not, shit,
Yeah.
it is what it
And to And also, like, I was a big hitter. I used to hit the Patriots, bro. And I was thinking about it, like I hit the Patriots because they're good. There's no other reason why I don't like the Patriots because they are a good team. That's the reason why I hate them, right? Because they beat my team, the Broncos, and they have more Super
Right.
Bowl, right? So that's the reason why I hate them. It's not because of
yeah.
anything else, just because they're so freaking good. And I'm just mad my team suck. And I just
I
hate
mean,
them.
I ain't gonna lie though. I hate Boston teams, man. I hate the Patriots.
I,
I hate.
I,
I can't
And no,
stand them
like, I
motherfuckers.
don't like, bro. I'm the
Like,
same way,
man,
G.
I just hate
Because they're good. To be honest, I'm like, they're just good.
you.
Because I was
God,
like, I was rooting for the
But
Mavs.
hate has
And
to
I
come
just,
because hate is in the greatness,
yeah,
right?
it
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 is.
got to be great to hate, right? Because
It
if they
real.
lost every year, will we hate them,
is.
No.
or we just be like, I don't care about them?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I don't
Fact.
even care. You know what I mean? They beat Cleveland. You know what I mean?
Right.
Do we
Yeah.
hate Cleveland Browns? Like,
No, we don't hate the Cleveland
we don't
Browns.
hate them. They just whatever. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Yeah.
they're just
If
Other
they
good.
was
than,
winning every year, we'd be like, man, I can't stand them
yeah.
Cleveland.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I'm
Oh,
saying?
yeah, for real, bro. Fact. That's the main reason
I'm
why I don't
learning
like
to
Tom Brady.
We talked about this in another episode too. I'm learning to appreciate
Oh,
greatness
yeah.
as I get a little bit older, man.
Yeah.
Just appreciate it while it's here. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So,
Because you're
and
never
then
going to see those type of
Yeah.
performances
I'm gonna
ever.
add one last piece on my on mine is in the wise words of a comedian named Carlos Miller. He said, "Some people's gonna have it easier than you. Some people's gonna have it harder than you.
Fact.
Stop hating on a nigga.
Fact.
Just stop
True.
hating on. You know what
True.
I'm saying? So that's just how the cards play out, man. Play your cards, man. That's all
Right.
you
Yeah.
can do
That's all you can do,
For
man.
sure.
for sure,
All right.
man. Well,
All right.
everybody on here, we appreciate y'all once again for rocking with us. Make
Yeah.
sure
Shout
y'all
out.
follow the Spot Network official page, and definitely follow us on YouTube, man. We've been putting a
Right.
lot of energy to that page, man, and dropping a lot more content on that page too, and it's been growing faster even than the IG.
Yeah.
Right.
So the Spot Network official, you can find us on YouTube, on IG. Apparel coming soon. You see the crew neck over there. You
Coming
see the hat.
soon.
Sure.
Crew, you know what I'm saying? Apparel coming soon, man, and we
More.
appreciate y'all tapping in.
Yeah. And
Uh,
don't tap in on Thursday, 12 to 2 p.m. Eastern time. We're doing the first live stream of the kickback sessions on the rooftop in Brooklyn, New York, on YouTube. So be sure to tap in, stream with us. Like, we're gonna be vibing, we're gonna be thriving, man. And it's gonna be lit, man. It's gonna be a good time. So be sure to tap in with us on Thursday as well.
Yes,
right.
sir.
Shout out to everybody in the building, especially Kelly Bay. Appreciate it, bro.
Shout
That's
out to
Shout out to
Kels,
everyone.
man. Shout out to everybody who tapped in, man. Y'all be easy, fellas.
it. We out.
Take care.